Um, I filled in some demographic information that I know now, and how old are you?
I'm 37.
37. Oh my god, you look
Yes.
a lot younger than 37.
Yeah, I get told that a bit, that I appear younger than what I am.
What's your nationality?
I am Uruguayan American, so I was born in the U.S., but my parents are from Uruguay.
I'm sorry, can you spell that? I will also send the editing link to you. So
yes, that's cool. So Uruguay is spelled U-R-U.
U-R-U.
G-U.
U.
A-Y.
A-Y.
And then you just add an A-N at the end, Uruguayan.
Oh, okay. So you're Uruguayan American.
American, yes.
Okay. What's your native language?
My first language is English. I guess I consider Spanish my second language, but they're pretty close. I consider myself like mostly bilingual, but yeah.
Spanish as a second language. Okay.
Yes.
What's your current location?
I live in Leonia, Leonia.
Yeah.
In New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. What's your education level?
I have a bachelor's degree in English, language and literature.
Degree in English language?
Yeah, English, language, and literature. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm currently getting my master's. Yeah, which you know.
Okay. Which school did you get your bachelor's from?
I got it from a school called Fairleigh Dickinson. So it's spelled like fair, F-A-I-R. And then Lee, L-E-I-G-H.
L-E-I-G-H, yeah.
And then Dickinson, like Emily Dickinson. So D-I-C-K. I-N-S-O-N.
Oh, so it's like this?
Yeah, let me check. No, D-I-C-K-I-N. Take out that E, you don't need it.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Thank you.
Sure.
What's your application and current student status? Like I put master student at LTXT at NYU, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And then I'm also an ESL instructor, part-time.
At where?
At Bergen, B-E-R-G-E-N.
B-E-R-G-E-N.
Community college.
Okay. Thank you. And
sure.
You've never taken TOEFL or IELTS, right? Like you don't need it.
I've never taken. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
You've never taken TOEFL or IELTS, right?
No.
Yeah, I suppose you don't need it. Okay.
I was told when I was in Uruguay, I was told to take the Cambridge exam.
Oh.
Because when I wanted to be a teacher in the public education system, the C2, because even though I am a native speaker or a first language speaker, they still wanted proof.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So,
I didn't take it because the test is like $200. So like I don't have that money right now.
Oh, so you didn't.
So I never took.
Oh, so you never took Cambridge.
Yeah. No, but I've taught it. I know the test well, and I know the TOEFL test, and I know about them. Yeah, but I've never taken it personally, but I've taught it.
Oh, I see. Oh, by the way, is there a university or college word behind this, like after this Dickinson word?
After Fairleigh Dickinson, I did like vocational college in Uruguay, but only for a year and a half. I didn't finish.
Oh, I mean, like, is Fairleigh Dickinson, like, does it have a full name of Fairleigh Dickinson University or college or something?
Yes, it does. It does. Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
University?
Yeah, university. Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
No worries. I was just unfamiliar with these places.
No, I didn't tell you. No, you're good.
Yeah. Okay. I guess like we can start with our interview questions.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, like what's the demographic of your students?
The students are usually adults. At Bergen Community College.
Mm-hmm.
They're, I would say, from their late 20s up to maybe their early 50s.
From late 20s to early 50s.
Yes. Their demographics they vary a lot. I've had students from like South Korea, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Colombia, Ecuador, Argentina. They're very diverse.
Diverse nationality.
Yeah. Most of them, all of them, are people who immigrated to the United States, and some of them have been here for 10, 15 years. Some of them have only been here for like a year. Some of them 5. And this course that I teach is free for them because they're working. So if they work at least a minimum of 20 hours in New Jersey, this program is free for them. All they have to do is sign up.
Oh, that's nice. So
yes.
Why are they learning English in their class?
Well, they're learning English for a couple of reasons. The first one is because they want to advance their careers. So some of them are working temporarily, maybe at a restaurant, or they're working temporarily as like a secretary, but they have education in other fields, like they're accountants, like professional accountants, or they have experience in like the medical field, but they feel that their English isn't good enough for them to do interviews or for them to apply for these kind of jobs.
I see. So like
yes,
they're not proficient yet, and they just want to like be able to exert their domain knowledge with a
yeah, I think so. I would say maybe they're not proficient, but sometimes they feel they're not proficient, but they kind of are. You know what I mean? I always tell them it's like a fine tuning. You know how you have a guitar, for example?
Guitar.
And the guitar sounds like a guitar. Yeah, like you're playing the guitar, and you're like tuning the guitar because you want it to be like the perfect note. And the note is fine, but you're always like tuning it for it to sound better, but it already sounds really good. That's how I think of them. Like they're not flat, they're not sharp, like they're not terrible, and they're not like brilliant or too brilliant where they sound like a robot. They're pretty great. They just need some fine tuning in terms of confidence and vocabulary and stuff like that. To be able to express themselves even better.
I see. Okay. So this is like a demographic of like how the students are.
Yes.
Okay. What do you think is a common challenge that English learners face?
Oh, that's a great question. I think a common challenge that they face is that what they want to say doesn't match the ability of their language level. So like for example, in Spanish, because that's my other language, Spanish. So in English, I'm thinking, whoa, it's like really cloudy outside, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's pretend that's what I want to say. And then in Spanish, I'm like, oh, está como muy like, I can't even think of the word right now. Like, I don't know how you would say cloudy in Spanish. So maybe I would say, hay muchas, I can't even think of the word for clouds. So that's what happens, right? Sometimes you're like, you can't find like that one-to-one.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do is you end up saying, well, no hay mucho sol hoy. Today there's not a lot of sun.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of saying that it's cloudy, but I'm not saying exactly what I want to say. So I think that's where the frustration lies for language learners, where they can't do the one-to-one that they want. And it's really frustrating.
I see. Are there any other challenges?
I think also making sure that other people understand you. I feel like there's a lot of a burden on language learners where they have to be clear and then the listener doesn't have to do much. So unfortunately, I think it happens a lot here in the United States where like other people are like, oh, what are you saying? What do you mean? And there's some people who are nice, but there's other people who aren't. And I think sometimes that difficulty for language learners is like trying to sound like a native speaker, trying to sound like you're not from somewhere else. Because you don't want to have this burden of like not sounding like you should or not pronunciating as you should. It's unfortunate, but that's what like tends to happen.
So you're saying that they don't sound like a native?
I think they want to sound native, and it frustrates them because they've been in situations where they've been made to feel like if they don't sound native, they're not good speakers. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So don't think of themselves as good speakers if they don't sound native.
Yeah, and that, based on what students have told me, yeah, that sounds like the natural burden of things.
And also, like, sometimes people are, natives are not nice.
I think they encounter people that are not nice. Yes. That are not nice about it, and unfortunately, and that stays with them because it's not, I wouldn't use the word traumatic, but it stays with them because it's impactful.
Like Sherry had told me that too.
Yeah, it's really hard to let it go or to move on from it, because it's such a confidence crusher or a soul crusher. Like, it really hurts.
It hurts, and the experience stays with them.
Definitely, yeah. And then you carry it around. Even if you become like a very great speaker, you still think about that, unfortunately.
Even after achieving English proficiency.
Yeah, I think so, definitely.
Okay. Any other challenge that English learners face?
I guess another one would be kind of the variations of English, even here in the United States, people who live in the middle of the country or in the South speak differently than people from New York. I mean, even New Jersey and Philadelphia, like, we're really right next to each other, but we speak different English a little bit. We use different words. So I think when you become like more proficient, I'll put that in quotations, you always feel like you don't know enough because you're always learning these new words. And then obviously there's people who speak fast, right? And don't enunciate, so it's hard to understand them. So you can think that you are a great listener and you understand English really well, but then you meet someone who speaks English in a very specific way. You're like, I don't understand anything they're saying. It happens with me with Scottish. Like when you hear the Scottish accent, I don't even know what they're saying half of the time. Like it takes me, you know what I mean? It takes me like, it takes me a little bit, even in Spanish too, when I hear people from Spain, because the Spanish in Spain is very different, they're very different, but different enough from the Spanish in Uruguay that it takes me a minute to like adjust my ear and be like, okay, I think I know what they're saying. So yeah.
I see. So like other than like regional accents, different speed, unclear enunciation, there's also like you said that they use different words. Like is it like grammar or like just the way of delivery?
Like literal, like for example, I would like there's a type of sandwich called a sub. Here, like I would call it a sub, but if you go to Pennsylvania, they call it a hoagie. But we're talking about the same thing.
Refer to the same thing with different words.
Exactly. Right.
Oh, that happens in Taiwan too. Like we have like at least 3 or 4 variations of how we call and erase, how we say an eraser, and that's like, they have a different name in like different regions. Yeah.
I mean, in English, I think the British call it a rubber. And we call it an eraser. Oh, that's another challenge. Another challenge is the English that you learn. So, like, you probably have experience with this as well. You go to a school and they're like, oh, we teach American English. And then you might go somewhere else that teaches you British English. So then you're kind of in this silo of either English, but then when you go in the real world, you realize that people speak a mix of both of them, right? And that's kind of complicated because if you stay in the universe where an elevator is a lift, like your whole life you hear the word lift, and then all of a sudden you're here and you hear elevator, you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So that's another challenge, I think.
Like British English.
I think so. Especially when you're a kid, right? And you start learning English as a kid. I think that kind of messes you up a little bit. Because you're like, what's going on?
And also, like, British English has this highly contextual. Like when they say, "Oh, it's quite good," like it sounds like a compliment in America, but like it's an insult in in England.
Exactly. And those are like very subtle things, right?
Yeah.
And that's imagine the cognitive load of all that, right? So you're speaking a second language, you got to worry about dialect, accent, then you got to worry about vocabulary, and then you got to worry about cultural things. You know, so it's there's a lot like you're handling at the same time.
Yeah. See, like any other challenges?
I'm trying to think. I think I touched on it. Just like the judgment of other people when you speak English with an accent. I think other people, depending on the person, take it differently, and you never really know how the other person's going to take it. So you're always kind of walking on eggshells. Like you're always very anxious and nervous because you don't know how the other person's going to react. So you're always like, oh, do you understand me? Does that make sense? Like you're always second guessing yourself because you really don't know how the other person is reacting to you. And I think that's something that maybe never goes away in a way.
Wow, that's hard.
Yes, I think it is.
Do you think these challenges differ? Do you think the challenges differ between beginners and advanced learners?
I think they might change a little bit. Maybe their how you handle it as a language learner might change. But I think in all levels, they're kind of present. For example, the thing I gave you earlier about like the clouds, and I want to say that it's cloudy, but I don't really know how to say that in Spanish. At the level I am now, I would just laugh at it. I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't really care. I'll find a way for them to understand me. Like I'll point at the sky. Like I don't care. For me, it's like it's like it slides right off me. A beginner might get so frustrated and so nervous that they wouldn't know how to handle it. So I think the issues always exist, but how you approach them and the tools or techniques that you have differ.
I see. So, like a beginner would be anxious about
I think so.
Not being able to say a word. To recall, to say. And advanced learner would find ways to go around it.
Yeah, or they would just acknowledge, like, I don't know this, but they would laugh, or they would just move on and be like, okay, I don't know this, but I know how to get you to understand what I want to say, anyways.
Just last up. Okay. Just laugh. Or use gestures or other words.
Right. Yeah. Use gestures, other words. Look up an image on their cell phone, like if they have it next. There's like a million other ways to make sure that you're being understood, I think.
I see. Is there anything you want to elaborate on about this question?
No.
Okay.
No, I think I covered most of it. Yeah.
What are some effective ways to improve learning efficiency that learners often don't know or don't adopt?
I guess I'm just going to talk about the context of students that I have, because depending on the students you're teaching, I think that answer varies a little bit. But I think with my students, because they're here in the United States, so they're already fully, like, they can't escape it. I mean, they could escape English. Like, literally, yeah, there's like places here in the U.S. where you can be here your entire life and never speak English. Like, if you really want to, you can do that. But I think because you're surrounded by the language, I don't think they realize that they're consistently learning and observing. Like, even though they're not sitting down and learning grammar, they are learning the language. I think sometimes what happens is they're like, oh, I don't understand the grammar of this. I don't understand, like, the mechanics of this. And I'm like, fine, I'll teach it to you because I know you want to learn that and it helps you. But also be aware that, like, when people speak, most of the time we speak incorrectly. Like, our grammar sucks when we're speaking, right? Like, we're not thinking about that. So I think, like, sometimes students don't, not that they don't learn, I think it's just a matter of realizing it, that, the grammar and all that is very important when we're talking about, like, writing and stuff like that. But when we're talking about the thing that they use mostly, which is speaking and listening in their day-to-day lives, like, that stuff doesn't matter. It just matters that you're clear and what you're trying to say is simple and that people understand you and you understand that. Like, don't overcomplicate it. I think sometimes what happens is that in the learning process, there's a little bit of overcomplication because for them, there's this, like, sense of urgency. Like, they want to make sure that they learn the language and they learn it well because they know they're being judged on all of that.
Yeah.
So, and I want to make sure that they learn that, hey, you shouldn't frame it like that. You're always learning, even if you're not actively thinking that you're learning, because you're already in that environment. Whenever you're watching TV or you're on your phone, and you're looking stuff at English, you're learning. So I would say that. I think also it's just like a matter of putting yourself in positions where you have to speak English, right? Or you have to engage with English. Like your cell phone, like put the settings in English. Don't put them in your native language. Right? Have a little bit of that uncomfortableness. Read stuff in English. Listen to stuff in English. Like actively engage with it outside of the time that you have with me. But yeah, I think I think those are things that you either have to be pointed out to you, or you kind of figure out as time progresses. But usually they're pointed out to you. Like I point them out to my students. But yeah.
I'm sorry. Could you list like how can one surround themselves in English again? Like studying from language in English, and
yeah, like putting your cell phone, the settings in English, not in your native language. You know, watching videos in English, reading things in English, like a podcast in English. Maybe go to a supermarket. Maybe go to a place, like a general place where you know nobody speaks your language. You know, and be in that space of uncomfortability. Like feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? But at a level enough where you're like, I feel uncomfortable, but I think I have the tools to handle this. You know?
Thank you. Listen to English podcast. Okay. Anything else?
No, not for that question. I can't. Again, like I say, like I think it depends on who you're teaching. In my case, for the students that I have, like adult learners who are engaging with the language outside of my class. Like my class is not like isolated, like they only engage with English in my class. They engage with it every day, everywhere. So
I see. What do you think is lacking in current English education, and how might these problems be solved?
I think it's the way. Well, I have this question for myself. I always ask myself this question. I think it's the clinical way that it's approached. And what I mean by clinical is like, okay, you have the subject of traffic, right? And then you're like, these are words associated with traffic, cars, bumper to bumper, ramps, exits, right? Okay, we learn the vocabulary. Then what we're going to do? Oh, we're going to make sentences. Oh, let's do like a fill in the blank. Okay, now we're going to do a listening activity. So like for me, when I was learning how to be an English teacher, an English as a foreign language teacher, they, you know, all the 4 skills are split up, right? Like listening, speaking, reading and listening. And I hated that because I'm like, that's not how I approach the language. Like, that's not how you should approach a language. They're all interconnected. And for me, it just seemed kind of ridiculous to separate them. I understand why. Like, I get, we can go into like, oh, is this like appropriate scaffolding and all that? Like, I get it, but I'm like, I don't agree with it. So I think that separation, I don't like that. And also I feel like a lot of times, this depends on the instructor, but I feel like a lot of times it's teacher-centered, where it's like the teacher telling you, this is how you speak, this is how you're supposed to say things, and everything's very formulaic. And I'm kind of like the opposite. I'm kind of like, there's a million ways to say a thing, right? I'm not here to tell you this is the best way to say it, because that's me lying to you. If anyone tells you this is the best way to say something, that's not true, right? There's a million different ways to say the same thing. And this is the same for all languages. This doesn't just apply to English. So I think that a lot of times in English teaching, there's something very formulaic, which again, I get. Because if you have like a young student, you want to teach them, hello, how are you? Fine, thanks. And you, and like, you teach that to kids, but at some point you have to tell the kids nobody talks like that. Everyone's like, hey, and you're like, hey, what's up? And then that's it. You know? They're very different things. So yeah, I think I'm not a fan of that in English learning, where it's like very formulaic and it's sometimes very teacher centered. I'm really much about, let's talk about your experiences. How do you relate to this topic? And have them speak, you know? And there's also different philosophies of how to correct students when they're talking. Sometimes you cut them off and you're like, no, this is how you say it. I'm generally the person that lets them finish talking. And then when I respond to what they say, I'll say what they said incorrectly. I'll say it correctly. And I'm like, they'll pick up on it. You know, I'm not really direct about it. But that's like a technique that already exists in English teaching, but I prefer that. But the main things are that it's very formulaic and it's very oftentimes teacher-centered, and I don't like those things.
Can you I put down like the clinical way that is approached is usually learning vocabulary related to a theme and then do listening and writing activities. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah, that's part of the formulaic thing that I'm talking about. Yeah, it's like very segmented and skills, and which I get, but I'm not the biggest fan of. Yeah.
Not how natives learn English.
Okay.
How is there anything else lacking in current English education?
This is the textbooks that are used. Unfortunately, they become very outdated very quickly.
Oh,
so,
wow.
You know, like depending on the institution you're in and the materials you're given, sometimes you are like, well, this is very outdated, or I don't agree with this. You know, sometimes like the words, like I've had to teach ought, and I'm like, who uses ought? You know? And then I have to tell them, like, you'll see ought, but if you're reading a book from like 20 years ago, you know what I mean? Or you're watching a movie from a specific, like, you know, era, you might hear the word, but be aware that you're not going to hear it in the street, most likely.
I see.
So I think there's this lack of, I think it's very difficult to be like up to date because English is a living language. That's the problem, right? English it's not like Latin, where Latin hasn't changed because it's dead. Like people use it, but like it hasn't adapted or changed because it's not a living language anymore. But the problem with English is that it is a living language. So sometimes I like to teach slang words because I'm like, that's what you'll probably hear in conversation. You'll hear people using slang. Is that grammatically correct? No, but it's just as important as knowing what ought means to know what skibbity means. Because you'll probably hear someone say skibbity. You'll probably hear your kids say skibbity. And you're like, what the heck does skibbity mean?
Yeah. Okay. What do you think, how might these problems be solved?
I think it's just a matter of, you know, I guess academically, it's just looking at how, you know, TESOL programs teach educators. And you know, when you see these things kind of push back a little bit, but also like in the classroom, be aware that, and you know this too, like theories don't always go well in practice. So I think as an educator, like, you know about total physical response or something, for example, but know that it might not apply to a group of like 4-year-old people, but it works really well with like 7-year-olds. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think it's that. I think it's kind of going out of this paradigm of that there's a right way. There's correct English and incorrect English. Like I don't believe in that either. You know, so kind of, you know, I think language learning is about the structures of the language, vocabulary, expressions, idioms. It's about all that. But I think the underlying thing is giving you the confidence as a student to be like, oh, I can tackle all this. Like your job as an educator, I think in language learning, is be like, you have all the tools, you have all the ability to learn this language. I'm going to help you navigate it, but I want you to know that if you're frustrated or something, that's very normal. You know, don't force yourself, don't push yourself, be patient with yourself. I think language learning should concentrate on that, like on the confidence of the learner, how comfortable they feel. And once you establish that, make a safe space for them where failure and where error is accepted, and it's seen as part of the language learning. And once you establish all that, I think when you add all the things that they're supposed to learn, it's much easier.
Are you saying that making them realize, like build this confidence in the students and make them believe that they can tackle the challenge of learning a language, and like make them realize that having to go through this is part of learning a language? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah. Like, don't start the class by like, okay, learning hello, how are you in German, right? Like, let's pretend the target language is German. Like, don't start the class, their first class, talking about greetings, right? I wouldn't do that. My first class will be like, okay, why do we want to learn German? What are our personal reasons for wanting to learn this language? Okay, great. How do we feel about our language level? You know, tell me a little bit about yourself, about your background. You know, get to really know the student, get to know where they're coming from, why they're in the classroom. And then kind of start building their confidence. Someone might say, oh, like, I know a couple of words in German. I'm like, that's great. And someone's like, oh, I lived there for a year. I'm like, that's fantastic. Because then you have to learn about their language level, their relationship with the language, and how that's related to why they're there and their confidence. So I would really start with who the student is, where they're at, why are they there. And then once they establish that, then start with like, okay, the topics that I have to do as an instructor. Yeah.
So also take the student demographic into consideration.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's also important because going back to talking about English, it kind of tells you what their relationship with the language is, you know, a lot of the time. Yeah.
So I'm gonna say, take the student's demographic into consideration and decide the topic and how to. So like it's like tailor the learning experience for them.
Yeah, that they call it culturally responsive teaching.
Culturally responsive teaching?
Yes. That's what you would call that when you're taking into account a student's demographic, their first language, kind of their interest, like all of the things that you just listed. Especially when you have like a diverse class and a diverse group of people. Then as an instructor, you take that all into account as you begin instructing. Yeah. So culturally responsive teaching. Yeah.
I see. Did I spell TESOL correctly?
Would it be TESOL? TESOL?
Oh, SOL. Okay.
Yes. It'd be teaching English to speakers of other languages. I think that's what it is.
Teaching English language as a second language.
Teaching English to speakers of other languages.
I see.
That's TESOL. Yeah. Which is confusing to me too. Actually, when I learned that, I was like, okay. Okay, I understand.
Sorry, I'm typing, so like it. I'm slowing you down. Okay, is part of the learning process. Make students realize that learning is part of the learning. Okay. Thank you. What other solutions do you think like can be adopted?
I think what I know is that with like younger students, like in New York City public schools, you have an influx of students from a lot of different countries, and then you have like one instructor. There's no way that the instructor can learn 15 other languages, you know. So I think what needs to be adopted is a combination of things. I think we need to give teachers better support and tools to be able to access different languages, kind of teach teach them what's the importance of learning, like hello, good morning, good afternoon, these like really specific words in a student's first language to be able to connect with them. I'm not saying learn like a whole new language, because that's an unfair ask, right? But kind of give teachers the ability to access these other languages, and if they want to learn them in a more deeper way, give them the support to do that. And I think also what I've seen is like people use a lot of Google Translate or use AI and stuff like that. So, use these translation tools not as a solution, but as a way to facilitate communication when all the other ways to make a student try to understand you fail. Like a drawing, a picture, a physical actions. When all that fails, like, you can use technology as well, but it shouldn't be like the first thing you go to.
I'm sorry, I don't really understand. Like, you mean this Google Translate thing failed, so they shouldn't be the first thing you go to?
Right. I only because like I don't know if you want, but I think it's important for students to feel that friction of not understanding, and for the teacher to sympathize with the student at the same time and be like, I know you're not understanding me and I'm not understanding you. So we're both in the same camp here. And I think it's important for teachers to feel how students feel sometimes. Because we're not the source of all knowledge in the universe, right? We're not the arbiters of knowledge. We're just a felicitator. And I think some teachers don't always remember that. So yeah, if you don't know and they don't know, that's okay. It's a teachable moment. So let's figure it out together. How can we together figure out a way for us to understand each other? Right? That exercise is a learning experience in and of itself.
What exercise?
That exercise of trying to figure out a way for the student and the teacher to understand each other. Without going to the easiest solution, which is like, okay, let me just use Google Translate or AI to translate for me.
I see. Actually, I have a pro plan of like ChatGPT, and like the pro plan, the conversation function is mighty. Like you can just switch, you can just speak Mandarin, speak English, or speak Japanese in the same conversation that you have, and it can understand you instantly.
That's great. Like I think that's awesome. Like I think that's fantastic. I also think that like students need to be aware that they might not have always access to that, right?
Yeah.
And kind of learn how to engage when you don't have that tool there. But I'm also not against it. You know what I mean? So I think, I don't know how much, because I feel like sometimes AI with language learning is what's happening is that it's replacing teachers completely. So you'll have institutes that are teaching English, and they have like they have videos with AI like things that look like people teaching a language, and then you have like AI voices. And I'm like, well, this is going extreme because you're saving money and resources in quotations. But I don't think that's a solution either, you know? I showed my students, like my last class, I showed them a video about AI. And it was an AI talking about AI. So it was like an AI like image, like an AI fake person talking about what is AI. And my students right away could tell that it was AI, and they all were like, that was weird. That was creepy. You know? Like they understood the AI. It wasn't because they didn't understand the English. They're just like, this is just weird. Like hearing an AI teach English for me is weird. Because the intonation is off. Like it doesn't sound natural. Like, I don't know. It feels impersonal. The way the technology is now. So to answer your question, I think we should embrace like technologies like AI, but not take it to these extremes that I'm seeing it being taken to, because I don't think they're good for language learning.
Yeah, I see. Like, I found that the accents, the Mandarin accents and the Japanese accent of of ChatGPT sounds weird. They don't sound native. They sound pretty weird.
Yeah, but imagine being a kid and that's how you learn Japanese. And then you go to Japan or wherever there's Japanese people and you want to talk to them and you sound like AI. You know, because that's the only Japanese you've interacted with.
Yeah.
Right?
Actually, the intonation sounds no, I don't know. It's just, it sounds like the Japanese version sounds like sound like an American or like a European speaking Japanese. Like he speaks Japanese fluently, but he still doesn't sound like Japanese. Sounds like a Westerner speaking really good Japanese. Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay. Is this all for the solution?
I guess to make it general, I think we need to have continual conversations about language learning, like, and what are our objectives and goals in language learning? Like, what are we trying to address? I've taken like English as a foreign language classes in Uruguay. I haven't taken them here in the States, so I don't know the stance of like TESOL teaching here completely. But from my experience in Uruguay, it was like phonetics and phonology. And I remember I had to like record a video with a British accent. Like I had to do a British accent, me. And I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah, why do you have to do a British accent? Wait, you said
I said like in Uruguay when I was taking like English as a foreign language classes to teach it, right?
Like where did you take it? Europe?
In Uruguay, yeah, when I was in Uruguay.
Where's Uruguay?
Because
I'm sorry.
In Uruguay.
I'm gonna have to write that down.
No, you're fine.
Wait a sec. I think like.
Sure.
Oh yeah, I have to put down your background as an expert.
Oh, Michelle, I have to like get going at 2:20 just to let you know.
Oh my God. Okay.
Because I have to teach at 2:30.
Oh no. Oh, we should. I guess we'll have to do the part.
If you want to do it in 2 parts, I don't mind. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we might have to do it in 2 parts.
Okay, I'm sorry. I should have told you. I apologize.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have checked with you too.
No, it's okay.
No, okay. Okay. I guess I'll see you. When works for you?
Tomorrow is pretty busy. I don't know if you can do the weekend.
Yeah, I can do the weekend. It's just that I have another interview at Saturday night, so I'm free like Saturday afternoon and on Sunday.
Wait. I can do. Is Monday too late?
Monday. No, Monday would be. I think I have a class on Monday.
Okay, because Monday I can do whatever works for you on Monday.
Okay, I'll check my. Maybe we'll schedule later. I'll stop recording now and we'll schedule this later.
Yeah, that sounds.
So I'll share my screen with you.
Sounds great.
Okay. Do you remember whether are you done with what do you think is lacking current English education and how might these problems be solved?
Yes, I think before we had hung up, we rerounded off that question. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Then
yeah.
What factors most influence learners to stay motivated or to lose motivation?
Whoa, that's a good question. I think in the case of my students, it's practical stuff. Like they want like a different job, a better job. They want like a promotion. They want to be able to communicate better in social situations. and in professional situations. They want to help their children more, like with their homework, or not depend so much on their children if they go to like a meeting at a school, so there doesn't have to be so much translation. So I think the motivation really comes from these like practical experiences that they have on a daily basis, right? So it's a very it's real life, right? It's not like you're a kid and you're being taught English and you're learning how to order food, right? In this case, like they're ordering food maybe like once a week. You know what I mean? So it's like very, the motivation is because it's full immersion, right? There's like the teaching methodology, the Berlitz method, which is like, right, full immersion, where in the classroom, you walk in the classroom and the professor only speaks to you in the language that you're trying to learn, like the target language. So the motivation comes from not being able to speak another language, not being able to use your own language. Like you have to.
No choice.
I don't know if that's the best motivation.
I see.
Like the most healthy, right? It is a good motivator. I'm not saying that, but I don't know if it's the healthiest one.
I see.
Because it comes with like a lot of anxiety, right? A lot of like pressure.
True.
Yeah.
By the way, like we need to update your background as an expert. Like, so you're an ESL instructor at Bergen Community College, and like, I think there's one more.
I worked 7 years in Uruguay in a program that teaches English as a foreign language. And I helped a lot with like instructional design, and helped a lot with like professional development of teachers, and working with students. So I guess I have professional experience in Uruguay, not Europe.
You're right.
Uruguay. U-R-U.
U-R-U.
G-U-A-Y.
G-U-A-Y. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, as works as an English teacher, a TESOL teacher.
No, my role was called like a mentor. I was a mentor in the program. But as a mentor, I did a lot of things.
As a mentor of like curriculum.
Yeah, you can say a professional development, curriculum development. I also like helped with like project management. I did a lot of things.
Okay. I guess I'll ask you about this some other time.
Yeah.
If that's
yeah.
Okay.
It's a weird job. It was a weird job that I had. It was like a lot of things.
Okay. Are there other factors that influence learners to stay motivated or to lose motivation?
I guess I'll talk about losing motivation. I guess they might lose motivation if I don't know if they have the choice to lose motivation, right? You know what I mean? Because they are in a situation where they have to speak English. I guess how we can frame it is that it's harder to maintain motivation because they don't find the support systems they need, or they sign up for English classes that are not helpful for what they need. So I don't think it's a question of like they have to stay motivated. Yeah, they have to stay motivated. I don't think they lose motivation. I think they have to find ways to maintain it. And find intrinsic or extrinsic factors that can help them maintain motivation, because they have to learn it anyways. But they want to learn it from a space that is not so difficult or so demanding, I guess.
Okay. Anything else?
What factors most influence our understanding? No, I think that's fine.
Okay, thank you. In your view, how can learners better retain and actually use what they have learned?
I think learners need to, it's hard, but I think learners need to kind of tap in quicker into metacognition, like when they are in conversations with people, like afterwards, kind of analyze that conversation and have that debrief with themselves. Like, how did that conversation go? Did the person understand me? Why was I nervous? Why was I not nervous? So I think what learners can do to better retain and utilize the stuff they learn is to kind of have that habit of metacognition and understand why they do or say things the way they say or do them. I think that's the best way. Separate because I send them homework, but a lot of times they don't do it.
Oh.
So, because they're adults. Like, they have lives. They don't have time. Or they, like, sit down to do their homework, but then their kid got sick and they have to go to the hospital. You know what I mean?
So you mean
they don't... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Or are you saying that they need to do the assignments too or homework, but, like, they don't necessarily have time?
Yeah, that's why I don't make that's why at the beginning of the next class, I try to do, like, the homework with them. So, so I don't rely on homework as a way for them to actually apply what they've learned because I don't know if they're going to do it or not. Like, it's there. So we can say that, like, homework is an avenue that I use, but I don't depend on it because I don't know if they're going to do it or not. So for me, really, it's giving them the tools to be able to analyze their own speaking and to be aware. Like, a lot of the students tell me that, like, oh, now that I understand the present perfect, I use it more when I speak. Or now that I understand superlatives and superlatives and stuff, I use them correctly. So for them, it's more about, okay, I learned how X, Y, and Z works. Let me apply it right away to how I'm speaking. So it's just a matter of them being able to make that application and then keep using it. I think that's the best way.
So, like, are you saying that they have to be grounded in, like, grammar, like they have to know the textbook English in order to use them too?
I think it's them understanding why English is the way it is. Like, right? Like, why does the present continuous exist? So once they understand, it's not about the mechanics of grammar, but it's understanding why it's a thing. So, like, me saying I talk, right? When I explain it to my students, I'm like, you're talking about right now in this moment. It's a very general thing that you're saying, I talk. When you're saying I am talking, you're already giving me a lot of information in, like, 3 words, right? You're telling me that you're talking now, and most likely it's going to keep going into the future, right? So that's, like, a big difference between I talk and I am talking. And once they understand that, they're like, oh, okay. So when they're speaking, they can be more direct and specific about what they're trying to say because now they understand why the grammar is the way it is.
I see. Okay. In your view, what role do different learning formats play in language learning? Oh, when I say magazine, I'm referring to like English learning magazines. Like the magazine that I used, it's like it has all these different topics, all these different articles, and they're assigned like this level of difficulty, like with 3 red dots being the most difficult. And like here's this is one of the articles, and like here says 1 and here says 2 means that you read this part of the article on the first day of the month, and then this like the second, so that you can like, and then this for the third, there's another article, so like you can like
that's great.
Yeah, study a small portion each day, and like here are specialized terms and vocabulary focus on the side, but these are the harder ones. They have the whole. This is the translation.
The answer key? The translation.
The translations of each article, and like here are the vocabularies that they should memorize for each article. And here's the English and the Mandarin, and on the other side, it's the example sentences.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I say magazine, I'm referring to this kind of magazine.
Okay. I think like the different learning formats give you different things, right? Like if we're looking at videos that are made or magazines, right? Made specifically for English language learners, you're learning a very like curated, specific, formal English, right? And I think those spaces give students the opportunity, like you were showing me with like vocabulary banks and exercises. They give the space for the student to kind of absorb this information, right? Which usually is new, right?
Yeah.
So they're very like formal, safe spaces for students to like gather information. Then you have, depending on the app, I guess, and depending on the video, because sometimes you might show a student like a news clip, right? Like maybe a current event happened and you show them a news clip. That video, that content is not created for English language learners. That content is created for the specific audience of that news station. So there you might get more informal language. You might encounter some slang. You might encounter specific jargon depending on the region that video is from. So there you're getting a more up-to-date English, I would say. I think like magazines and videos, like educational videos, have like some stagnant English, you know what I mean? Where that, so for example, you were showing me the advanced magazine mess hall, the vocabulary word mess hall. I haven't heard that word in years. And I associate that word with like the military or when you go to like camp.
Are you talking?
So
are you saying the
Look, no, go down where you were before, all those cards. Yeah, you see that word mess hall?
Mess hall.
The first one on the left?
Oh yeah.
Under June?
Yeah.
That's such a specific word.
Yeah.
That like if you told me to teach that to my students, I'd be like, in what context? Like why?
I guess it's related to the article. I think the article is about
Yeah, because it says culinary, stand-up, peripheral, internship. I could kind of, mess hall's like another word for a cafeteria too. But that's such a specific word that I'm like, I would probably find that in a magazine or in a video for English language learners than I would find in a video for like people who just want to watch something in English or like a YouTube, like a classic vlog video or like a YouTube video. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's what these different formats offer. They offer variations of English. And I think it's very important for like a learner to be exposed to all of them. Like you should show students like these magazines, these like videos specifically for English language learners, but then you have to show them a video essay from a YouTuber. You have to expose them to video clips. You have to, encourage them to, if they have apps on their phone, separate from English learning apps, but if they have like, Instagram on their phone, put it in English. Use it in English. Do not use it in your native language. You know what I mean?
Why do you think learners should be exposed to all of these learning formats like magazines, apps, videos?
Because English is a living language. And I think it's really hard to find one source to give you a really good idea of how English is. Like even me, like I'm not the biggest fan of TikTok, but I always try to go on TikTok because I'm like, I want to understand the English that like 8-year-olds are using. Like, I want to understand what skibbity is. I want to, you know what I mean? I want to understand what sus is. Like, I want to understand these words, and I'm not going to find that if I wait for, like, the New York Times to write an article about it. Like, eventually the New York Times will write about it, like a very formal news outlet. But I will get it much quicker if I'm, like, just looking at TikTok videos. This is the same for every language, right? This is not just English. Like, when I was learning Spanish, like, I would read, like, a very classic novel in Spanish, but I would also watch soap operas. In Spanish are called telenovelas. So I would watch telenovelas because that's, like, a very specific modern Spanish than compared to Gabriel Garcia Marquez, who wrote his book in the 1930s.
Okay. That's...
So, yeah.
Yeah, I see. Anything else for this question, for number 6?
Yeah, you know the classic answer, right?
Yeah.
Like text, video, audio, visuals, all those different formats allow students to be able to understand a language in one of these 4 skills that they maybe have a better grasp of, right? So, like me, my Spanish reading skills are much higher than my writing skills. So, for example, if I want to learn maybe new words in Spanish, I would probably read a book first.
Oh, I see.
And then I would go to a video, right? So I think having all these different formats, like visual, text, audio, allow the learner to kind of find which of those they have easier access to, like they grasp a little bit better. And that's like they're in. Separate from everything we know about instructional design, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think learning English should be combined with something else? If so, what do you think it can be combined? What do you think can be combined with learning English?
I mean, yeah. I mean, in my old job, we would combine learning English with students like putting up a play. So there were students who were learning Shakespeare at their level, at their English level. They were learning Shakespeare, and then they were mounting plays. Like they were getting costumes. They were kind of doing set design. So, you know, it was a very like a performance-based project, right? They weren't only learning English, they were learning how to perform, they were learning how to work with a team, they were learning how to coordinate, they were learning so many things at the same time. If they had to like film themselves, they were learning how to film themselves, how to edit. So it really became like a project-based goal or, you know, concept. I think English works well when it's in the framework of like something project-based.
So it doesn't have to be performance-based, just some kind of project-based.
Yeah, I think so. Or like in one of my classes, students, we were talking about resumes. So we were talking about English, but we were talking about how do we improve our resume. So everybody already has a resume, right? So we were just looking at how can we improve our resumes? What specific words can we use? What can we do about formatting? We talked about the STAR method. So we were learning English, but we were applying it to something tangible, right? Which is in this case is a better resume. So yeah, I think English can be combined with like something very singular and specific like a resume or something bigger like project-based. Having it by itself, in my opinion, is sucks and can be kind of boring.
I see. Anything else?
Yeah, I know a lot of teachers used to do like recipes, like they would teach, like the recipe would be like a cake, and then you would teach students like the different vocabulary for the different ingredients, and then the action verbs, stir, pour, bake, boil, you know, they would learn all that, and then they would go and actually make the food, and then they had a cake. So again, like that, you're learning English alongside a skill that you can apply that you can use in your native language, right? So you're learning like English, but also a skill. I think is the ideal combination.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, next questions. What gap do you see between classroom English and real life English use?
I don't know if I said this already. Let me know if I'm repeating myself.
Yeah.
But this is me personally. When I was like taking vocational classes to be an English teacher back in South America, they teach you the very classic method of separating the skills. So like reading, listening, speaking, and writing. And I hated that. It makes no sense to me because when you're reading, you might also be speaking because you might be reading it aloud. And when you're writing, you're also, I don't know. You're also listening. I don't know. I can't separate them. They're in my head. Maybe because it's my first language brain. But even when I was learning Spanish, I can't separate them. like they're all together for me. So I think that's an issue with like classroom English, where like you do these skills and they're so like specific, and they're kind of like siloed or separated. So I'll give you an example. So, and maybe this happened to you too when you were learning, and it happened to me in Spanish, but like when you start learning a language, they throw words at you like hello, orange, black, whatever. And then they ask you to make a sentence, and you're like, I don't know how to make a sentence because I have all these random words that I learned through like listening and speaking. But then now you want me to write a sentence? I don't know how to do that. Because you separated them. Like, you know what I mean?
I see.
So a lot of language learners, it happened when I was trying to learn German on Duolingo. So I know these like random words in German, but I don't know how to make a sentence. Okay. So that leap between like understanding language and utilizing language and actually appropriating in a good way. I'm using appropriation like in a good way here. Appropriating the language for your use, that's a big jump. And I think classroom English does not help students make that big jump. So I think that's a thing. I see. And then the other thing is this: every language suffers this. Is that like I said before, you have a textbook that was printed in 2020, right? Or a magazine, and it's great. It's a great magazine. It does a lot of good things, but then there's stuff there that is completely different or non-applicable anymore. Like if a textbook talks about AI and it was published in 2023, whatever it says back then is completely different now.
Yeah.
So it's not the magazines, it's just the medium, right? It's just it's how the medium is. That's why you have like videos and you have other things.
Yeah.
But I think like what I'm trying to say is many of the resources or the materials that are used in an English classroom are not reflective 100% of how English and culture is happening outside of the classroom. There's a disconnect. So I think like a teacher has to continually and consistently update the curriculum, update the material, so there's a reflection of reality. And that's a lot of work. And sometimes depending on the constraints they have in terms of curriculum and requirements and stuff, maybe they don't have the possibility to do that. So yeah, I think that's a gap. I don't know if there's another gap. I think the biggest, this is just occurring to me now, but the biggest gap for me is there's a difference between, how do I say this? there's a difference between you speaking English, right?
Yeah.
And kind of integrating English as a part of yourself. So what am I trying to say? I think like sometimes the classroom demands of you as a speaker to sound a certain way, to say things a certain way, to convey yourself a certain way, but it doesn't teach you the ways that you can express who you are through the language. So when, like, for example, when students are writing English, they're like, oh, I use ChatGPT to help me write. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Only ask it to do grammar for you, because then you lose your voice. You know, just because you want to sound better in English, do not forget who you are and how you express yourself and how you process ideas. I don't think classroom English teaches you to sound like yourself. It teaches you how to sound like this idealized English that doesn't exist.
Find your doesn't teach.
I don't know if that makes sense what I'm saying.
Yeah, so it doesn't teach you to develop your own voice, like your own ways, or your own ways to express yourself.
Yeah, it only teaches you how to sound good, rather than how to be yourself and be yourself in a way that people can have access to. You kind of lose your personality a little bit. A lot of people tell me, oh, my jokes don't work in English. They work in my language, but they don't work in English. And I'm like, I think it's because the English that you have isn't reflective of who you are. You know, because you weren't taught to reflect yourself. You were taught to reflect a native speaker. But even native speakers have their own style, so it doesn't make any sense. It's just like this idealized English, I think, that not even I have.
I see.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what it does. Thank you. And the last question is, how important is cultural knowledge in successful English learning?
1,000%. It is. I mean, not just in English, any language. But it's so important. I don't think you can separate them. I think when you're teaching English, it's very important. I'm saying this from the educator perspective. To be aware of the cultural differences between you and your students. So I remember my old job, we would teach the word attic, right? In Uruguay, there's no such thing as attics, Michelle. They do not exist. It's not a thing. Attics are not a thing. So why am I teaching this word in English? Like, why?
Attic? You mean the little room in the house?
Yeah, the little room in the house at the top of the house.
Yeah.
That you use for like storage, or somebody might have like a little bedroom there.
Yeah.
Like that's such an Anglo-Saxon, Western kind of concept.
Yeah. Like,
and you're, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I don't think I've ever seen maybe some houses in Taiwan have that, but like for the house that I visited, I don't really see an attic anywhere.
Yeah, it's such a like specific thing that I'm like, why am I teaching it to 7-year-olds? Like, why? Like, if I was teaching it to adults, I wouldn't care. I'd be like, okay, fine, it's fine that they know. But kids, when they haven't traveled, when they have so many other words that are much more useful for them to learn in English than attic, they have no real life reference for it. So like it's useless in a way. So I think it's very important to understand the language, the culture of the people in your classroom, of your learners, of your students. And it's also important to understand the cultural background of the English language that you're teaching, of the words that you're teaching. And be mindful that a lot of English comes from other languages, that a lot of English has different meanings that have changed across time. You know, I think all that cultural stuff is very important to give students context and understanding, because you just don't want to throw a word at them or phrases and be like, memorize this. I think real learning comes with understanding the background, like the cat out of the bag. Like, do you know the origins of that idiom, for example?
No.
So cat out of the bag means, like, you surprised someone before you should have. Like, oh, you took the cat out of the bag, man. Why did you do that? Like, why did you let people know before you were supposed to? So it comes from, like, allegedly. It comes from medieval England, where there would be these sellers who were supposed to be selling chickens in a bag. They would give you a chicken in a bag, but sometimes you would open it and it was actually a cat. So they gave you what you weren't expecting. They surprised you with something that you didn't want. You didn't want a cat. You wanted a chicken. So that's where the expression comes from, the cat out of the bag. It's getting a surprise or something that you did not want, that you didn't want to hear about.
I see.
So, yeah. So, like, telling students that cultural significance of an idiom or a word from, like, the instructor side is much more impactful than just telling people, oh, this is what cat out of the bag means, and just leave it there.
So you're saying that when you're teaching a word or a phrase, you have to explain to your students the cultural meaning or the connotations behind it, or the context?
I think it's much more enriching and much more impactful and lasting if you explain the origin of words when it's applicable, right? Because maybe I would do that in a class where I'm talking about idioms, and I understand that maybe there's not always space to do that, but I think it's very important to do. Yeah, on both sides, right? Yeah.
Of the word. Yeah, I think it would definitely, like, make it more impressive. Like, I think they'll be able to remember the word better. But
Exactly.
I feel like for some, like, for students of, like, lower level, it might be too much. I'm not sure.
I agree. There might be some cognitive overload happening there.
Yeah.
If you do that. Yeah. In this sense, I'm thinking of, like, my adult students.
Oh.
With kids, what I would do with idioms, most of all, is I would do, like, images. Like funny images of, like, a cat coming out of a bag, and then the guy in the picture looks very surprised and confused. Like, I would do, like, visuals or alongside, like, idioms. Or I think you can even tell a younger student, like, for example, the word, I'm trying to think of a good one, an easy one, like wanderlust. I don't know, maybe you can tell this to an 8-year-old. Wanderlust is when you want to travel, right? You have this, like, feeling that you want to travel. You can tell a kid that it comes from the German Wanderlust, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's cool." And you don't have to tell them more than that. I think it's important for them to understand why English is hard sometimes. It's because it comes from so many different languages, like German, Spanish, French, Italian, Arabic. Like, that's why it's a hard language.
I see. Anything else you want to elaborate on how important cultural knowledge is in successful English learning?
No, I think that covers a lot of it.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think the one thing I would add is, like, well, maybe it's already there, but that, like, it's culturally responsive teaching, right? It's like a philosophy of teaching where, where, like, you in your teaching, you represent the cultures of your students. So if your topic is, like, holidays, let's pretend, you would use the holidays of your students' cultures and backgrounds as examples in your teaching.
Oh.
Or like food. If your topic is food, you would take like all the students' like cultures and backgrounds and what foods they eat and use that as like the content of your class about food.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
I guess we covered all the questions. Like, I just wanna check about this, like, the second background. So you worked 7 years in Uruguay as a mentor of curriculum development, project management at which school?
And professional development through an organization. I'll put it. It's called. Can I type in here?
Yeah, I think you can type in Slack, or do you if you?
Oh, here. I see it. So, I did it in an organization called Cebar in English, which is Cebar in English. That was like the department, and then the organization's called Cebar. Cebar is a tree in Uruguay. So the cebar is like a type of tree, like a redwood or a maple tree. Okay. It's a cebar, and then cebar in English is like the specific department that teaches English through video conferencing systems in Uruguay.
Okay, so you mean the second CEIBL, this thing is the name of the school?
It's the name of it's the organization. Actually, the organization works with public schools. Like, I would travel to public schools, like over 35 of them. So I wasn't like affiliated with a school. I was affiliated with this organization that provided English language learning. And then I would go to the schools and help teachers navigate the program because they were not English teachers, right? So I would help them navigate the program. I would visit like classrooms while they were having their lessons, see if the students were engaging with the material, how they were engaging with it. And then I would like see students do their homework or how they would interact with like the learning management system. So there was a lot. I did a lot. That's why I can't summarize it.
It's okay. Like, I think this should be enough. Thank you so much.
I hope it's helpful, Michelle.
Oh, it's gonna be helpful. I'm gonna stop recording now.
Okay, cool.